everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anri and I am an artist, illustrator and Bible journaler from South Africa. So if you're new here, just a quick recap. God really put it on my heart to do a couple of videos during this Covid-19 lockdown. So today is officially day 4 and I hope everybody is still staying sane. I'm cool. I'm basically used to being on lockdown because I'm an artist, so I work from home, do everything from home. But let me talk about what we're going to do today. So today I decided, I actually got a request on Facebook to do a video about how I paint my succulents, or watercolor succulents. So I decided I'm going to do a little tutorial, more technical, where I explain my process and I'll give you guys a couple of tips with regards to watercolor and also some lettering tips. So yeah, let's start painting. So my first steps are always to sketch whatever out that I want to paint. The reason being is it helps that when you actually lay the paint down, you know what you're going to paint and where you're going. With watercolor paint, it's not like acrylic paint where you can just cover the page and start again. Watercolor paints are transparent and they don't give you the same freedom when it comes to painting, but when it comes to creating textures and interesting techniques or blends, you have carte blanche. So when you sketch out your succulents, try to approach them as shapes. For instance, the prickly pears and like those, I don't know, I don't have any vocabulary when it comes to succulents. They're all vetplanten for me. If in Afrikaans that's the word for a succulent. And however, so if you approach a prickly pear, for instance, their leaves or branches or whatever looks like teardrops. And then the longer shaped cacti that you would normally see like in one of those Texas movies, they're like, for me, they let me think, that's horrible English. You can hear I'm Afrikaans today. They remind me of like balloon animals, and even like when the arm comes out, it's not like it's a solid shape, it's like a balloon shape. I don't know if that makes sense. And then also don't make them symmetrical, because in nature a lot of things are symmetrical. For instance, just because the cactus has an arm on this side, it doesn't mean it has to have an arm exactly the same place on the other side. Take it down or just give it one arm. And then I normally use an excess pen from Faber-Castell to sketch out my artwork, because it's waterproof and it doesn't fade and it doesn't smudge when you paint over it. So I just use my black pen to add like little doodling details to just give my artwork a bit more of a sketchy feel. And then I use the dust-free eraser from Faber-Castell to remove the pencil. So when I mix my paint, you'll see I predominantly mix brown into all my colors. I really don't like super fresh, bright colors when I paint. I prefer my colors to be muted. So with the green, I used like an olivey green, and I still added a little bit of brown just to give it that vintagey olivey effect. Okay, and then with the leaves, or with the stem of the cacti, what I did was I mixed the paint quite transparent, so when you layer it you still see the different colors coming through. You'll also see I wet the page and then I go in and add some other colors just to get a more organic blend. This really just makes it organic and not just like painted flat, because if you paint it flat you kind of lose that watercolor effect. And then I know everybody's gonna roll their eyes when they hear this, but I don't like putting gesso on my pages when I do watercolor paint. A lot of people want to prep their pages, which is cool, but with watercolor I kind of feel that if you prep your page you lose that watercolor feel. If you're going to use inks or something that really bleeds through, I would suggest using gesso. I know there's one specific gesso, Rochelle calls it like the queen of gesso. I think it's Dina Whiteley, I hope I pronounce it correctly, but that would be the only gesso I would recommend, but I don't use gesso. So for me, just straight watercolor paint. And then I just added some leaves just to make it a bit more fuller, because the arrangements of the succulents, they were kind of like, they're a bit half or broken, or I don't know if that sounds correct, but I added fillers basically. And then once that was finished, I just took my black pen and I added some more details just to finish off and to make it complete and give it like a nice sketchy feel. I'm really into doing the sketchy feel at the moment, like when you add like a lot of doodling lines and you combine it with your artwork. It just makes it like fun and sweet for me. Okay, so once I finished sketching out all of that, I did the lettering and I added some finer details. But I quickly want to talk about the verse. So I've read this, I actually did this specific verse in a class, and this psalm is where David is in the wilderness of Judah. And I didn't think I mentioned the psalm. It's Psalm 63. And the funny thing is, I read this, I did the class, and I actually read a different Bible study with regards to this specific verse, and it's about how we're all in deserts in our life, how we all approach this time of our life where we find ourselves in a desert, and we are thirsty, and you're like wandering around, and then all of a sudden you get this oasis, and you like, I don't know if there was an ad on TV where I think it's like a Tropica ad, where this man was walking, a liquor fruit ad, where this man was walking around in the desert, and then he goes into this oasis and the fruit was in the water and stuff like that. But this was kind of what the devotional was about, specifically to the psalm. But when I also read the psalm and I did a bit of study about it, it's a very interesting psalm, because when David is in the desert, he makes a metaphor of how he literally thirsts for water or something, but how his soul also thirsts for God. And that same comparison, that he's so thirsty and so like quenched, that he just wants he just wants to be replenished by God. And then yeah, so go read this psalm. There's a lot of psalms about the desert, or there's a lot of Bible verses where people are in the desert and stuff like that, but this particularly reminded me of the little succulent garden in front of my house. So I wanted to create that whole effect. But the nice thing, or something that really really made me fall in love with the psalm, is the psalm shows how much David sought intimacy with God, and why David was therefore a man after God's own heart. David calls God my God. He values God's love more than life itself. He writes, "My soul thirsts for you. My soul clings to you." This is the picture of a man longing for intimacy, for the closest possible fellowship with God, the same longing we should have. And especially in lockdown, I know this is such a cliche word, but especially in lockdown, now's the time we really should embrace longing for God. He will give us comfort, He will give us peace, He will silence our fears, and yeah. So that was just my little message with regards to the psalm. But back to painting. So I used the dotting tool. I used the dotting tool, and I think I was talking to my husband while I was doing this, because I had that funny hand gesture in there. But I used the dotting tool and some white ink just to create like the little dots on the succulents, and I just used the brush to create like little crisscross marks and add some detail to the long upright cacti. And that's about it. And then once I finished adding the white, I also added some gold watercolor paint just to give it a sparkle, because if it doesn't have sparkle, I don't think my artwork is complete. And then that's about it. So then I just splattered a bit to give it like a little messy watercolor effect. Note to self, please make sure that your watercolor is dry before you try to write over it, because then it smudges. So just make sure that your watercolor is dry. And then once that is dry, I started with the lettering. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of tips with regards to lettering. First of all, I am a perfectionist, so I always sketch everything out prior to and plan prior to writing it down with pen. With regards to my lettering, the word that stands out for me the most, that's the word I always try to write differently compared to the rest. I use two pens normally, XS or a S or a 0.3 Eco Pigment pen from Faber-Castell. The XS and S pens are Pitt pens, and the Eco Pigment is basically the same pen as a Pitt pen. It's just the nib's a tiny bit longer because it's used for technical drawing. So before I can't do the calligraphy thing. I literally cannot make the connection in my brain to do the calligraphy thing. I can fake it, but I cannot do it. So my tip for you is always write it out first with a black pen. I don't know what happened there. Always write it out first with a black pen. And then I use the brush Pitt pen from Faber-Castell to make the downstroke a bit thicker, to create that faux calligraphy effect. And then I just added an heart to the eye. That's like my thing. And then with regards to the rest of the words, I just sketched them out with the Eco Pigment, added a little bit of detail, and then I made them thicker with the, what do you call it? The brush pen from Faber-Castell. And that's basically it. And then I added some little detail keys. I really like doodling when I do most of my artwork. And the brush pen really gives your artwork a nice effect. I struggle to get the thin stroke with the brush pen, so that's why I use the brush pen to do the thick stroke and use the normal pen to do the thin stroke, and a normal pen to do the thin stroke. And then lastly, I just sketched like a little banner and then made that the verse, address, allocation, sketchy thingy. And that's about it. So I want to encourage you guys, I'll upload a drawing of this artwork again to my Facebook page, but I really want to encourage you to try and draw it yourself. It's so much more fun, and you get to take longer to finish your artwork, so time goes by, you have something to do for a little while longer. And then also, for me, I find that when I draw stuff out, it becomes like memories, so the next time I draw something, I tend to draw even better. And then I just want to encourage you to have fun. Please don't, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's supposed to be fun. And then lastly, I just added the little, what do you call that, Bible tag again. Today I have verbal diarrhea. I cannot remember half the stuff that I use, and half of the stuff's correct English names. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to challenge you again, please try and draw this out yourself. But if you're a bit scared still, I did upload, or I will upload this image to my Facebook page. And then if you guys have special requests, just drop me a comment below or send me an inbox on Facebook or WhatsApp, and I will try and do a video to help you. I have been getting a lot of videos with regards to beginners Bible journaling videos, so I'm not going to do one now, but if you are looking for content that are super helpful, my friend, she's amazing, has a video, has a YouTube channel called La Rochelle Bible Journaling, where she uploads daily videos, and she has a lot of beginner tutorials and some super nifty tricks. She's the queen of gelatos, so if you have gelatos and you've never used them and you don't know what to do with them, she has like a ton of cool things you can do with them. And then yes, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we basically have 17 days left of lockdown. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today, and yeah, God bless, have a wonderful day. Okay, bye.